Hi everyone! Welcome to another Recovery College video recording. My name is Lisa and I'm a peer trainer at the Recovery College. Today our session is going to be focused on early warning signs. By the end of this video you will have an overview of the following. 1. What are early warning signs? 2. Identifying and recognising early warning signs. And 3, planning ahead. So what to do when early warning signs may emerge. Thinking and identifying our early warning signs can be a difficult task that can sometimes leave us feeling a bit nervous. This is generally because it involves recalling times when you might have struggled with your mental health, and no one I know really ever finds pleasure in remembering the difficult times. It might, though, be helpful to look at it from a different perspective. Instead of focusing on the negative feelings and thoughts triggered by what we're going to be looking at, perhaps take them as an opportunity to empower yourself through developing self-awareness and insight into your own mental health. Because remember, you are an expert in your own mental health, and an important aspect of being an expert is deciding when you might need help from others. If thinking about early warning signs becomes too powerful and intense to deal with, you might need the help of a health professional who can guide you and support you to cope with it. So what are early warning signs? Early warning signs are the internal changes indicating that your mental health might be getting a bit worse. These can be changes in your thoughts, your behaviours, or your feelings, and are generally the first signs to emerge before major symptoms start to interfere with your life. Here are just a couple of examples of early warning signs commonly experienced by people. So, for example, maybe we might find ourselves eating or sleeping too much or not enough. We may find ourselves isolating from people and usual activities that we do. We may find ourselves having little or no energy, or feeling more depressed, like numb or nothing really matters. Others report having headaches, heart palpitations, feeling helplessness and even hopelessness. And some say that they find themselves smoking, drinking or using drugs more than usual. You may start feeling unusually confused, forgetful, on edge, maybe a bit more angry, and end up yelling or fighting with family and friends. You may experience severe mood swings that cause problems in relationships, or may even have persistent thoughts and memories you can't get out of your head. Some people have voices or start believing things that are not true, and others begin to think of harming themselves. But for many, an inability to form daily tasks like taking care of each other or getting to work and school are most common. But like our triggers, early warning signs are different for everyone and will vary depending on your personal and your unique experience. What we've just gone through is just a guide. The aim is to show you a range of different changes that some you may relate to and some maybe not at all. But we need to make a list that's specific for you. Identifying early warning signs. So the idea behind identifying your early warning signs is to bring your awareness towards the problem changes and then begin taking any necessary steps to help you get back on an even keel. To start identifying your early warning signs, it may be helpful to think back on times when you struggled managing your mental health and started to feel worse. Try to think of a situation that is between 3 to 5 on the scale, nothing too traumatic, a time that you feel comfortable exploring. When you've thought of your situation, you can then use the following questions to help you. What did you notice that was different from how you normally feel, think and behave? Were you feeling more tense, more jumpy, more sleepy? Jot down any things that come to mind. Then, Ask yourself, what happened next? Where did these changes lead? When we know this, we can begin then to track any patterns that might be leading us into crisis. Thoughts. So, what were your thoughts like? Do you remember experiencing paranoia, racing thoughts, maybe some confusion? How about just blank? Try and take yourself back to that time and recognise how your thinking was and jot it down. Next, we're going to look at what feelings may have come up for you. So what feelings did you experience? Could you recognise sadness, maybe anger, frustration, perhaps numbness, perhaps detachment? Some experience real euphoria and others experience real lows. Just take a moment to have a think and jot down if you can think and remember any feelings that came up for you. Finally, we're going to take a look at behaviours. So, were there any changes in how you behaved? Did you notice you were becoming more impulsive? Maybe perhaps talking too fast, or even maybe not talking at all? Or how about isolating yourself from friends and family? Take a moment to recognise some of the behaviours that may have come up for you. Next, have a little think about whether this changed any of your routines and your habits. Did you begin to eat less often, less regularly, or perhaps eating more regularly than your meal times? Have a think about what changed for you and jot down what stands out. So, looking back at the list we've just made of early warning signs, did you notice that anything happened maybe in a particular order? Because often, if you stop to think about it, it's very likely that your early warning signs follow a pattern. So now, once we have the clear idea of what our early warning signs are, we can begin to represent them in a timeline to then understand whether there is an actual pattern in their appearance. I'm going to give you an example. It may start with having negative thoughts like, what is the point? I hate my life. I feel so stuck. And having these kind of thoughts can have a big effect on how you feel. And the next thing you know, you're not sleeping well. When we don't get enough proper sleep, we can feel drained and lethargic during the day, making it totally impossible to go to work. So then you may find yourself calling in sick, but then sit at home worrying and feeling guilty about letting people down. When we feel like this, we just want to shut down and isolate. And as you can see, the spiral into crisis just continues. As this shows, early warning signs may be leading to crisis where you no longer are able to take care of yourself. That's why it's so important to learn how to recognise and manage them before it becomes difficult to self-manage. If you do find a pattern, you might want to try and link it to a particular external event or circumstance, or what we refer to as a trigger. So think about what was going on in your life when you started to experience these changes. In the previous example, the triggers might have been having too much to do at work, or having an argument with a family member, or receiving an unexpected letter or bill. But being able to identify these triggers will help you know how to respond if they happen again in the future, because they won't be such a surprise. If, after asking yourself these questions, you still find it difficult to identify your early warning signs, I suggest you ask someone close to you that you really trust, someone who you spend time with and may have noticed changes that you might not have noticed. This can be a friend, a family member, or even your doctor, support worker or care coordinator. Sometimes an objective view can really help make things clearer. Hopefully now you feel more confident about identifying your early warning signs. If not, I suggest just spending a little bit more time writing them down. Planning ahead. So far we've looked at what early warning signs are and the ways to become aware of early changes in how we feel, think and behave. An important part of how we manage our early warning signs is to know how to respond effectively to what we've noticed. There's little point noticing the early warning signs and then not having tools to manage them. There are some early warning signs that you can self-manage successfully, but others may require help from others. So once you set out your plan, make sure to inform the relevant people of what their role might be in supporting you during this time. Once you know what your early warning signs are and what events may possibly trigger your reaction, you can begin to plan how to manage them. Your plan could consider the following. What have you done in the past that helped you cope when things were difficult? Talking to others, maybe some mindfulness or deep breathing exercises, perhaps some journaling. I'd make a list of the coping strategies that have worked for you in the past, and then think about how they could help you gain control over your response to future events. For each early warning sign, try to think of a strategy to help you manage it. For example, if I have trouble sleeping because my mind is racing, I could put on a mindfulness meditation to help my mind switch off and sleep. When thinking about how we respond to our early warning signs, it can be helpful to create a list of prompting questions to help you consider certain things once you've started noticing your early warning signs. The list could include the following points or others that you consider more relevant to you. So, for example, are you doing the things you need to do to stay well and avoiding the things that don't? I know myself it can be so easy to slip into unhelpful behaviours and habits like comfort eating and things that can lead to more negative thoughts and the downward spiral. Perhaps take a look at your routine. Does it help to try and stick to it? Perhaps there's too much on there at the moment. Some things could be cancelled or postponed. Or do you need to add more structure? Perhaps pencil in time for a walk, a shower, emails, so you have a clear start and end point to any tasks you need to do that day. Is there anyone you trust who you could ask for help with things that are particularly challenging right now? And what other coping strategies do you have in your toolbox that can help? Having a ready-made list of questions allows you to stop and reflect about what's going on in your life that could be impacting on your mental health, and also help you to see whether you need to make any changes. You can also talk through ideas with someone you trust, like a friend or relative, or a mental health worker, or perhaps someone who has also been experienced in similar difficulties, if you find this topic difficult to tackle on your own. Now, we're going to take some time to give it a try and write down your plan to manage your early warning signs. Remember, as with triggers, different things work for different people, and you will need to experiment. But don't be discouraged if it isn't perfect first time. It is okay to keep changing or refining your plan. So we've come to the end of our video. We've covered a large amount of information in very little time, so please feel free to watch again if you need to. Also, if you have any questions or would like to discuss any of the content on the phone, please don't hesitate to give one of our trainers a call. I really hope you found this video useful. Keep an eye out for new videos and courses and keep learning. Information is power.